Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Hope you're well for a Sunday. And it's Perry, what I was looking at yesterday. All right. So I did great in baseball. Where do we go? Wednesday, Tuesday, 6-3. We hit our lock, Milwaukee, our 5-unit. So in 2 days, I'm 11-5, and I believe I've actually figured out stumbling around looking at the wrong things to predict baseball. I finally figured it out. And it's all the streak. Well, most of the streak. Teams play in streaks. They get hot, they get cold. It's what happens. And you just go with it. It's like trying to predict roulette. You can't predict it. But you go with the streak, black or red, odd or even. Craps, if they're hitting points or they're hitting sevens. Backrack, are they hitting bank or are they hitting player? So that's how you play baseball. Who's on the streak and who's not. So let's go through it. We start with let's go to baseball. Let's go through our games for yesterday. And we got a game starting in a half hour. I don't know if we'll play it. Toronto wins 6-3. We have Frisco under 8. We had low ERA pitchers, and they scored 2 runs in the 8th inning to beat us. So we lose that game. Then we play the Chicago White Sox, and they win 10-4. So we hit the White Sox, but we lose the under 8. Hauser was going from Total Recall, and there was a 6-run inning for Chicago. They're starting to hit, but they did win. So we kind of split there. Then we have San Diego to win because Washington was on a 5-game losing streak, and San Diego lost. Hugh Darvish lost to Michael Parker with his 5 ERA. They didn't hit. So San Diego's not hitting. And we know their bullpen sucks from the All-Star game. And that was it. Then we hit Texas over Detroit. Detroit on now a 6-game losing streak. 4, 5, 6. Montero against Roker. Even Roker with the 5-6-6 gives up 1 run. So that's Texas wins. We have the Cubbies. I'm not sure if there was anybody on the streak. We just bet the Cubs because Shoto and Managa 7-3 with the 2.40 was pitching. I think Boston was on a losing streak or something. Anyway, we hit the Cubbies. The Yankees over 8, and they win 12-9. So we don't really care if they win or lose. We care if they went over. And now they're hitting, right? They weren't hitting before, but a couple of their injured players are back. DJ LeMahieu is hitting. We know Judge. He went from 420 to 370 when they were slumping, is now getting back. And so the Yankees over wins. And then our big lock was Milwaukee over the Dodgers as a dog. but Milwaukee's on a 8-game winning streak, I believe. And so we took them for 5 units, our lock, and they won 8-7. In our last game, we have Seattle against Houston. We play Seattle. They were on a 4-game winning streak. So Seattle wins. And so the only game we really lose, that was, we lost San Diego. Washington broke their streak. The Niners under was a pitching thing, and the White Sox under was Hauser against another good pitcher. I'm shocked they gave up 10-4, but normally it's the bullpen that's giving up the runs. So as we see the bullpens suck, we start to realize who's good and who's bad. Most of them stuck. And if San Diego's got any reference to their all-star relievers, they suck. How they both got on the all-star team and both got into action, and you left them in after giving up all these runs is ridiculous. Which leads me to thinking the all-star game was fixed, because that way Vegas doesn't pay out. The game's tied, and they're doing home run derby, which is bullshit. It's not part of the regular. I've seen all-star games go 11, 12 innings. What the fuck? No, 9 innings. They might get tired. We can't pitch a pitcher more than 1 inning. I mean, come on. What a joke that is. That's the problem with the all-star games. They all turn socialist. The NFL is flag football. I think that the idea behind that is to get people into football, but everybody gets hurt. So it's like two-hand touch, right? We'll play touch. That way everybody can play because people won't worry about getting hurt. It's such a joke. Anyway, forgive me, but I'm just starting to eat. Notice I don't have cereal. Avocados. Got to eat the avocados. Nectars of the gods. All right. So a big day yesterday. Even though it was 6-3, it was very profitable. We lost 2-4-6, and we won 2-4-6, so we're even. Then we win 2-4, so we go 9 units. And the most important is we hit our 5-unit game. And that's really where you get to the strategy of the lock. You're trying to hit. If you can find a good game, like I do in football every week, there's always 2 or 3 or 4 games I can lock. Because you're just so sure. You just have a good matchup. You have a Z team playing. You have a bad quarterback. You're going to take advantage of teams off of a loss. You know they're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. All right. Let's look at streaks. I got to write them better because I keep getting them messed up. All right. Baltimore's on a 4-game losing streak now. So once they hit 4, we start hitting them. And there's a lot of 1s and 2s. Detroit, we know, on a 6-game losing streak. Minnesota's on a 3. That's it. White Sox on a 2. Nobody there. Seattle's on a 5-game win streak. We've been betting Seattle. Texas and Houston are on 3-gamers, so we won't. We got to wait till 4. National League. Miami's on a 4-game win streak. And that's it. See, it's hard to get on a win streak. The Cubbies are on now a 4-gamer. Milwaukee's on 9. We've been betting them. Cincinnati's now on a 4-game win streak. Nothing. Frisco's on a 4-game losing streak. And Arizona's on a 3-game win streak. We won't count them. So Detroit's still going. See, as soon as the radio guys put a jinx on them, oh, they've never had a 3-game losing streak, Phil. And now it's 6. Baltimore, Seattle, we've been betting a 5-game win streak. Miami's new. The Cubs are new. Milwaukee on a 9-gamer. We've been pounding them. Cincy on a 4. The Niner on a 4. So there's 8 teams that are on streaks. See, I think it's hard to really go maybe more than 10, 11 games, right? Because you got to face the aces. So I pulled back, and I want them on a 4-game win streak. If I get them on a 4-game win streak, we should be able to win 3 or 4, and then maybe they lose after 7 or 8 games. But look at Milwaukee. Milwaukee's 9. They're the leader in the clubhouse. Ah, shit, the golf's on again. I keep forgetting the damn British Open. We'll be today, but I got a lot of shit to do today. Maybe I'll do this economics show after. Let me just turn it on so I can see what the leaderboard is at. All right. Not much interest. It's Scott Sheffield is winning by 5 strokes, going onto the back 9 of looks like the easiest course. I mean, not much to it. It's short, so he keeps having like little wedges and, like, oh yeah, it's a real hard course. Why would they choose that course to do a British Open, not like St. Andrews or something? All right, so we see our trends. Detroit on a 6-game losing streak, Seattle on a 5, and Milwaukee on a 9 are the biggest, and we got a few new ones at 4. Let's start picking. First game, the 49ers in Toronto starts at 12:05, Baltimore at 12:10, and then we go to 1:30. So let's get rid of the 12 o'clock. The Niners, Toronto, neither team. No, the Niners are on a 4-game losing streak. And they got Robbie Ray, 9-3 to 2.65 against Jose Berrios, 5-4 to 3.75. Never been that impressed with Robbie Ray. He was on the Tigers. So let's take Toronto. We'll start with Toronto for 2 units. Toronto is Frisco's actually favored 102. See, here's where the streaks come in. On a normal day, we would take San Francisco with Robbie Ray, or we bet this game under. But because they're losing means they're probably not hitting, and they're probably not going to hit today. And Toronto is hitting. So we're going to go Toronto because of the streak. And that's the idea of the streak. Baltimore and Tampa. Baltimore's on a 4-game losing streak. Tampa 125, 8.5. Trevor Rogers 2-1 with the 153 against Ryan Peapot 6-7 with the 3-3. Let's look at this Trevor Rogers guy. Is he for real? Yeah, he had 6 innings. He had a 2-inning against Tampa and gave up 3 runs in 2 innings. Then he had an 8-inning, 5-6-6. Okay, so he does pitch normally. That one bad game against Tampa. Otherwise, he's pretty good. Ryan Peapot 6-7, 3.38. See here again, we would normally take Baltimore, but Baltimore's on a 4-game losing streak. So we either take Tampa and go against Trevor Rogers, or we go under. And we've done this before where with the Yankees, we bet them under once, or I don't know if it was a game where instead of betting the game, we bet the under, and the under won. I think we would have won anyway. So Trevor Rogers is a good pitcher. Tampa, but they've lost 4 in a row. So here's where it gets difficult. Do we bet Tampa against the streak, or do we bet the under, ignore the streak? Again, I tell you, Sundays are the days that kill the streaks a lot of the. If you can get by Sunday, you're home free for a week. Ryan Peapot, this guy, I don't know. He's not much of a pitcher. From Indianapolis, went to Butler. He's pitched a lot. Let's look at his last 5. Gave up 4 runs to Boston, 2 to Detroit, 2 to Oakland, 4 to Baltimore, 1 to Detroit, 1 to Baltimore. And they're playing Baltimore today, I believe, aren't they? So they play Baltimore a lot. He's given up 1 run at home and 4 runs at Baltimore in 1/3 of an inning. This is the problem, right? At home, he pitches an 8 hit, gives up 1 run. And then at Baltimore, in an inning, he gives up 4 runs. And he gives up 2, 2, 2, and 4. So he's not been that good. It's actually a Baltimore bet, but I can't bet it because of the streak. I've got to stick to the guns of the streak. I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to take Tampa Bay here. Let's get by this, and then we'll go, even though we really should just be keeping on them. So normally you'd be betting Tampa blindly. It doesn't matter. Baltimore lost 4 in a row, but we'll try to avoid a loser. The White Sox at Pitt. Aaron Chevalier for the White Sox. Andrew Heaney for Pitt. Chevalier 1-6 with the 5.30. Andrew Heaney 4-8 with the 4.59. The Cubs are on a 4-game winning streak. Nothing for the Pirates. Chevalier, Heaney. Yeah, we'll take the White Sox. Oh wait, no, that's the Cubs. That's the other Chicago. Are the Sox not on a win? They're probably on a 3-game winning streak. White Sox have been killing them. Let's go over here. White Sox over 9. We'll go 2 units. Now there's no trend. The trend's the Cubbies. LA, Philly starting to win, and I got Philly 170-9. Jose Soriano 6-7 with a 3.90 against the Rangers. Suarez 7-3 with a 2.15. We're taking Philadelphia, and we'll take the Rangers. So we'll go Philly for 2 units. The more comfortable I get with the pitchers, the less I go with the over/under. I realize Suarez should win. It's California, who's not very good. They're 48-50, but the Philly's 56-42. So I'm going to take Philly with Ranger at home to get the win. He'll keep the score down anyway. San Diego, Washington, we no longer have a play here as Washington won. Nick Pivetta 9-2 with the 2.88 against Mackenzie Gore, 4-8 with the 3.02. We're going to go under with this game. San Diego under 8. for 2 units as San Diego doesn't score a lot, and we see their bullpen sucks. The Yanks in Atlanta, we've been pounding this game over. Atlanta 130, 10.5. Marcus Stroman 1-1 with the 6.6, who's not been pitching too bad against Grant Holmes. 4-8 with the 3.77. I'm going to go over with this one, just the way the Yankees are hitting the ball now. So a month ago, we're pounding the Yankees under, and they're not scoring 2 runs a game. Lately, they score a lot, and we see Atlanta's bullpen does not have John Smoltz in it. So they're in big doo-doo. So, very weak bullpen. Stroman with the 6.66. He's getting a little better, but still, Atlanta can hit, we know. So let's go over. This has been a high-scoring series. KC at Miami. Miami's on a 4-game win streak. Chris Bubic, who I do not like, they're favored 120 and 7.5. Bubic 7-6, 2.48. Jason Junk 4-1 with the 2.68. Miami on a 4-game win streak, or do we go under? I'm going to go Miami on the win streak. I don't like or trust Bubic. Gave up a 3-run homer in the All-Star game on a game I could have, on a pitch right down the middle, I could have hit out. So we'll take Miami. Cincinnati and the Mets. Cincinnati's on a 4-game win streak. And they got my ace, Andrew Abbott, 8-1 with a 2.07 against David Peterson, 6-4 with the 3.06. Can you tell me why the fuck the Mets are 135 favorites? This is a very live dog, Cincinnati. We're going to go 3 units on this game. Peterson's good. I don't question that. But Abbott, 8-1 with a 2.07, and they're on a 4-game win streak. Now we check 2 boxes, right? We got that and the ace. So all the good pitchers who pitched last Friday or Saturday, for some reason, I don't know why Scanes isn't pitching today. Why do you need 5 days rest for a guy who went to an All-Star game and pitched 1 inning? Why does he need 5 days rest? Are you fucking kidding me? Is this professional baseball or is this Little League? And in Little League, I would have pitched. Oakland at Cleveland, I've got nothing. Let's see. Oakland minus 110, 7.5. Jeffrey Springs, 8-6, 3.90. Gavin Williams, 5-0, 3.70. Who cares? Boston and the Cubbies. Here we go. Cubbies on a 4-game win streak. Garrett Croquet, our man, 10-4, 2.23. I got Locke. Oh, no, that's Boston. Kate Horton, 3-3 with the 4.45. Boston's 135, 6.5. The Cubs are on a 4-game winning streak. This is the problem. This would have been a lock if Boston was on the 4-game win streak, which they just were. They were on a 10-game win streak. Croquet, 10-4, 2.23. Horton, 3-3 with the 4.45. You've got to be, very. It's hard to bet the Cubs here with Croquet, who's very good, 10-4 to 2.23. This would be a normal Boston bet or under. I'm not going under 6.5 at the Cubs. So let's see. I don't know that we can bet the Cubs against Crochet. I mean, it's just in roulette. It's easy. You don't have the other, the black and the red. So let's look at Cade Horton. Gave up 4 runs to Minnesota. Shuts out Cleveland, 7 runs to Houston, 6 runs to Seattle. Okay, enough said. This guy's not very good. So the real play would be Boston here, which I can't play because the Cubs are on the going, and I'm just going to ignore it. I can't take the Cubs because rule number 1 is the streak, but rule number 2 is, or 1A and 1B is, you got to look at the pitchers, and I can't go against Crochet. Now, if the Cubs win this game, then we're all over the Cubs. So this is just being wise. Minnesota at Colorado. I don't think I have anything there. Minnesota 250, 10.5. Joe Ryan 9-4, 275. German Marquez. Here we will take Minnesota. Without anybody on the streak, we'll go 2 units. Joe Ryan 9-4 to 272. Now they pitched enough that I know, and I can rely on Joe Ryan 9-4, 2 is real. When we get hurt early, it's because the pitcher he's 2-1 with a 1 ERA. Oh, let's bet him under. And then he gives up 5 runs, and you realize he's bullshit. That's another 5 or 6 games. 2.72 ERA is real. So now we can take him. At Colorado, look for Minnesota to score, but this will not be high scoring. St. Louis at Arizona. I don't believe anybody is on my streak sheet. Miles McCullis, who I have no idea, 5-6 with the 4.94. Merrill Kelly, 8-5 with the 3.34. Arizona 150-9. Let's see. Arizona 150. McCullis stinks. Merrill Kelly 8-5 with the 3.34. I would probably lean a little more to Arizona, or probably the over. I can't believe this bullshit with this internet crap. Okay, I seem to still be on. All right. Milwaukee at the Dodgers. We've been all over Milwaukee. They are now on a 9-game winning streak. The Dodgers are 150-9. Jose Quintano 6-3, 3.28. Clayton Kershaw 4-1, 3.8. We're going to go Milwaukee again. I'm not afraid of Kershaw. We'll go 3 units. Let's look at Kershaw's last. Does he have 5 games? He's missed a lot. Last 5 games, gave up 2 runs to Milwaukee, 4 to the mighty White Sox, 1 to Colorado, 2 to Washington, 0-0, and a 5 to the Mets. So he's had a 4 to the White Sox, a 2 to Milwaukee his last 2 games. Pitches about 6 innings. So I'm fine with Milwaukee. Houston at Seattle. Seattle's on a 5-game winning streak. Oh, yeah, got Hunter Brown against Ric Flair. Oh, my God, what a game. Hunter Brown, 9-4, 2.43. Ric Flair, 8-4 to 2.75. We got to bet this game under 7, and we'll go 3 units. And the question is going to get to the bullpen. So it's going to be the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings this game, and that's the sad part about baseball. These pitchers should go 8, 9 innings here, and and we're going to get them for 5 or 6, and then it becomes the bullpen. So we're going to take it under. We should take Seattle with Ric Flair at home, but we know at home they don't score. And with Hunter Brown, it's going to be a 1-0 game, 2-0 game. So let's go under. And it's hard because we got all the streaks, but they're facing the good pitchers. In our last game, the night game, Detroit at Texas, we got Tarek Skubal 10-3 with a 2.23 going against Jacob Lotz 1-0 with the 3. Who the hell is Jacob Lotz? From Kent State. All right, so I like him already. And he's a bullpen guy. So I got Skubal against the bullpen guy. Detroit doesn't hit. Texas isn't going to hit. So we'll play this game. We'll go with Texas under 7, and we'll go 2 units. So figuring Skubal will probably give up maybe 1 run, 2 runs. The bullpen will give up 1. And then what is Detroit can't hit? Their hitting's gone to hell. So let's figure that. So it's been frustrating. Other teams with streaks, and we haven't been able to bet them. We did go against San Francisco. with Toronto. But instead of taking Tampa, we ended up not betting the game because let's look at this Trevor Rogers. Is he a pitcher? He's pitched the last 5 or 6 games. Yeah, we looked at him. So Tampa, Peapod, Tampa probably can win this game. We'll let it go. The White Sox, Pirates, we went over. They've been scoring. The White Sox have been scoring a lot, but both starters are terrible. LA, Philly, we went with Philly with the Rangers, Suarez going. San Diego, Washington, we went under in the game, under 8. The Yanks at Atlanta, we went over. The Yanks are really hitting over 10.5. KC at Miami. Miami's on a 4-game winning streak. We did play Miami. Cincinnati and the Mets. Andrew Abbott, 8-1 with the 207. We did play Cincinnati. Oakland, Cleveland, nothing there, so we ignored it. Boston at Cubs. The Cubs are on the win streak, but we've got Garrett Crochet, 10-4 with the 223. We're not fucking with him. It's been frustrating because you just want to play the streaks. Minnesota, Colorado. We ended up taking Minnesota, but it's not a streak. St. Louis, Arizona. We took Arizona over, and that's not a streak either. Milwaukee at the Dodgers. Milwaukee on a 9-game winning streak. We're going to take Milwaukee. Quintana, 6-3 with the 228 against Kershaw, 4-1 with the 338, but Milwaukee's hot. So we will take Milwaukee. Houston, Seattle. I want Seattle on a 5-game winning streak, but I'm going to go under in the game because it's Ric Flair against Hunter Brown, and I like Ric Flair, but I like Hunter Brown. 2 good 2.0 ERAs, so we got to go under. It was only a 6-1 game yesterday. In Detroit, Texas, same thing. Texas is hot, but I got a bullpen guy against Skubal. Texas probably won't score in the game. Neither will Detroit. This will probably be a 1-0 game, so I'm going to go under 7. So Baltimore, if we look at the streaks, Baltimore, 4-game losing streak. We should take Tampa, but we're not because of the pitcher. Detroit on a 6-game losing streak. Again, we should take Texas, but we'll ignore that and go under. Seattle on a 5-game winning streak. Again, we've got Wu and Hunter Brown, so we're going to go under there. So it really sucks based on the pitchers. We're not taking we're not going against Baltimore. We're not going against Detroit. We're not taking Seattle, even though we want to. And this will be a nice observation. Should we just keep playing the streak, or should we recognize the pitchers and avoid the streak today? Now, if the streak continues, then we're going to jump on them tomorrow, right? Miami on a 4-game winning streak. We did take Miami. The Cubs on a 4-game winning streak. We couldn't bet them because they're playing the ace of Boston, and so we're not going to take the Cubbies. Milwaukee 9, we are taking. Cincinnati on a 4-game winning streak we took, and Frisco on a 4-game losing streak we took Toronto. So there's 3 or 4 trends that we are not ignoring. We're just not playing. It's hard to bet against Skubal. Now, he lost his last time to Seattle, and he looked like shit in the All-Star game. So it's hard to bet against him. It's sort of like Alabama and Georgia. You either bet on them, but you don't bet against them. You're just setting yourself up to lose money. We don't want to lose money. We do not lose money. So we're avoiding them, but we are playing Seattle and Detroit under because we've got the 2 studs for Houston and Seattle, and we got Scooble going. Well, we don't want to start betting against him. We did bet against Kershaw, but I don't think Kershaw. We did take Miami, and then again, we didn't fuck with Boston with Crochet pitching. We stayed away from that. We took Milwaukee, we took Cincy, and we did bet against Frisco. So we have 8 trends, and 4 of them we couldn't play because you want to bet. I want to bet Texas, but there's no way I'm betting Texas against Detroit with this, against the ace. And I don't have an ace. I'm not. Where the hell is DeGrom? So I'm surprised they're not pitching DeGrom against Scooble. Then it would be an easy under. It's an easy under anyway, but I don't get that. And I didn't get when Scanes could have pitched against Scooble after the rainout, and he didn't. I didn't know what the hell's going on. So Detroit's not hitting. Their bullpen sucks. Scooble will probably go 7, maybe give up 1 run. Texas doesn't hit anyway. So we will see. So again, Toronto, 2 units. White Sox over 9, 2 units. Philly, 2 units. San Diego under 8, 2 units. Yankees over 10.5, 2 units. Miami, 2 units. Cincinnati, 3 units. Minnesota, 2 units. Arizona over 9, 2 units. Milwaukee, 3 units. Seattle under 7, 3 units. And Texas under 7, 2 units. So you got to be creative sometimes. You can't ignore the ace pitchers pitching and just say, like Seattle, I'll just take Seattle to win because they're on a winning streak. Roulette, craps, baccarat, there's really no opponent. The guy spins the wheel, it's red or black. Banker player hits in baccarat. The dice are just being thrown. So you can stay with the streak. Even in poker, I got to be careful. Some guy goes all in on me who I know doesn't bluff. Even if I've won 3 hands in a row, I got to fold it. Unless I have incredible cards, I got to fold it. So be aware of your surroundings. Let's put it that way. I know I heard that from somewhere. So that's what we have. Good luck on those. Again, the streaks. Baltimore's on a 4-game losing streak. Detroit on a 6-game losing streak. Seattle's on a 5-game winning streak. Miami's on a 4-game win streak. The Cubs are on a 4-game win streak. Milwaukee's on the 9-game win streak. Cincinnati's on a 4-game win streak, and the Niners are on a 4-game losing streak. But look how many teams are on a 1 or 2 game streak. Where Washington was on the Yankees were on a 5-game win streak. They lost. Washington was on a 5-game losing streak. They won. So if you start at 4, most of the time you'll probably get the 4, the 5, maybe the 6. And then we got to see how they do against the pitchers. Is Texas going to lose? Or since Detroit's on a 6-game losing streak, it doesn't matter who pitches. Texas is still going to beat them. I was a little surprised and happy Texas won yesterday. And they had them 4-0. And Ricky Green hits a home run in the 9th. It's typical Tigers. They get a run in the 9th when it's meaningless. The guy should have just tried to get a single and get on base, not hit a home run. And I'm sure the pitch was right down the middle. It's ridiculous. All right. Now, we're going to go to George, the Anvil. First, I'm going to show you a few things. 100 nations defied Trump. BRICS strikes back. Now, we've discussed BRICS over and over. We understand BRICS is everybody else because they don't want to be controlled by the dollar, and it's gold-backed currency. And that's been announced by Putin. There's definitely going to be BRICS gold-backed currency. That's why the gold will go up. So it's nothing new. There was Trump's U.S. debt, but I never heard him say about BlackRock. All right, let's watch this one on Egon.
It's easy to talk about the big picture, but at the same time, we are here to advise and help individual investors how to protect themselves here. And, one of the things that is very clear that is coming is capital controls. Most European countries are already introducing it or have introduced it. Spain now, the latest, that is 3,000 euros maximum to take out. And even that, they have to report, etc., etc. And it's going to be less and less. That amount's going to come down. It's the same in Italy, same in many countries. They will basically trying to stop people using real money or taking money out. And the US hasn't done it yet in any major way, but I think that's the next thing that's going to happen, because once you get this crisis that you are talking about in the banking sector, they have to stop outflow of capital. I finally ditched my Ring doorbell and switched to...
All right, so when I first watched that, I peed in my pants. I start thinking third dimensionally, and I go, wait a minute. We're all holding gold. Gold goes to $15,000. I go cash it in. How do I get my $15,000? And I just don't see the bank's going to limit us to what, $3,000? Now, keep in mind, Europe's different than the U.S. because we deal with a lot of money. So, I'm thinking, how do I get my money out? Or what does that mean? Do I have the money in the bank and just pay a bill with the money in the bank? Just don't take the money out of the bank? Are they not going to let us take money out of the bank? How do we pay bills? How do we pay mortgages, car payments? How do we eat? This is very unsure. Are they going to try to... Now, again, we saw how they wanted to do a stable coin. We still need to back it with money. Right? That's what they said. You got to back it 1-to-1 with dollars. So I don't see how they're going to do that with dollars. So nobody can take 10 grand out. How about if we want to go on a vacation? So this is all very strange that when I heard this, I'm going to play it again. But what the fuck do we do? I got money in the bank, but I can't take it out. Now, I showed you China. And China wouldn't let them take it out. So these people had all this money in the bank in China trying to pay for their kids, college stuff. And they had all this money in the bank and they couldn't take it out. I mean, I don't know what that is. Let's listen to Egon one more time just to make sure we're hearing this right.
It's easy to talk about the big picture, but at the same time, we are here to advise and help individual investors how to protect themselves here. And, one of the things that is very clear that is coming is capital controls. Most European countries are already introducing it or have introduced it. Spain now, the latest, that is 3,000 euros maximum to take out. And even that, they have to report, etc., etc. And it's going to be less and less. That amount's going to come down. It's the same in Italy, same in many countries. They will basically trying to stop people using real money or taking money out. And the US hasn't done it yet in any major way, but I think that's the next thing that's going to happen, because once you get this crisis that you were talking about in the banking sector, they have to stop outflow of capital. I finally ditched my Ring doorbell.
So I'm not sure what that entails. I will keep an eye on it and keep you informed as best I can. This was the first I've heard of it, except for China. We have heard of it in China. So we have an ounce of gold. It's now worth $15,000. We want to sell an ounce of gold and pay for bills. Do we sell it, but then we have to keep it in the bank? So I get $15,000 and then I go on my trip and just pay my credit card. That I just can't take the money out, or what? Now, this is one reason of several that I have. My rules, I have money in my safe just for this reason. But I'm not going to sell gold to put more money in my safe because I know the money's not going to be worth anything. So it looks like we're going to they're going to do some sort of stable coin, but that won't get rid of the money. The mafia will not let money go away. That's how they do all their drug deals and all their other deals, is with money. So it can't, now this dollar is gone, but they can create a new dollar. Stable coin to me is just like Bitcoin. It's an option, but not, oh, we now have to use stable. So my advice is keep some money in your safe at home and the rest put into gold. So keep like 10 grand in your safe. And we'll say, we don't know. We've not gone down this path. The Romans, they took the gold and silver out of their coins and they went broke. And this was Roman times. The other countries just went broke and they came out with new dollar. Like the pound is now a new pound sterling. It's not the same one they had in the 1900s. The French franc is different. And now they're all on the euro, which has collapsed. So this will be interesting. Now I can see Europe maybe doing this, but what do they expect people to do? Or is it you just pay your bills without taking the money out of the bank? This is unknown. So they don't want the capital outflows, but here's where I'm warning you about money in the bank. They won't let you, they'll just take it. Oh, you don't have 100 grand in the bank. It's ours. We took it because our bank's collapsing because we were stupid enough to do short gold and do derivatives on it. And this is what you have to understand. So keep that in mind. What the fuck's going on? So to play it safe, you have your gold and your silver and you're fine. In worst case, you go cash it in, put the money in the bank if we deem the money in the bank's okay. If we don't, and I don't know if you'll be able to get cash from the coin store, and how are you going to buy gold? If I want to buy another ounce of gold, it's 5,000 an ounce. Or I want to buy silver. Silver's now 200 an ounce. I want to buy silver. Here's $200. You'll take it. Are we going to start selling silver? And this is why I'm glad we own gold and silver. We might need $1,000 and silver's, let's say 500 an ounce. Well, I got a 20 rack, so I get 10 grand for it. Or maybe I get 5 grand and give me the cash, or find out what their cash limit is. So silver is going to be really crucial if this bull happens. So if they're going to the stable coin, then it's going to be Back to the Future too. You notice how these things happen in these movies, where innocently watching Back to the Future 2 and Biff has credits for the cab, and you don't think anything of it, but then you see how it's being played. Oh, here comes the credit. Here comes Biff using the thumbprint. Oh, we want a cab. We want an Uber. We're going to use our thumbprint for the money. So that's how a lot of the times they kind of initiate you with the bullshit, as they show it in a movie, and then it hits, oh, well, we can use credit. We don't want to use credit. We want to use money. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever lose this. You need this because that's real. So the banks will probably bail in. That's why we're not in. We want to be in gold and silver. You still want to be in, even if gold's 20,000. Well, what if you're at a Rolex? What if you own a Picasso? What are you supposed to do? I'm going to sell it for $1 million. Well, what are you going to, how can they not give you the $1 million, the worth of the painting, or give you the Rolex, or give you a Mantle card? Was eBay going to go away? Very interesting. I don't think it works. I think it's your money in the bank. Maybe the banks won't give it to you, but if you don't have it in the banks, you have nothing. How are you going to get paid? You get a paycheck. Let's say it's 5,000. What do they do in Europe? I want my paycheck. Well, you can only get 3,000 out. Or are you supposed to just use it and pay your bills and not pull the money out? Maybe we need more information. But I was shocked when I heard Egon. My first thought was, what do I do with our gold? It's the right play, but I don't. Maybe it's to get you to cash in now while you still can and put your money in the safe. But the money won't be worth anything, so it's not a good play. You want to hold your gold and silver, buy more gold and silver, and we'll figure out what to do with it after. Maybe we go to Russia with it. Maybe we don't. I don't know. Okay. There was 3 very, very interesting videos I found yesterday. The Ford family backed Hitler. Ford hates Jews. That's where Hitler got it from. And they were kind of partners. So you want to buy a Ford? I'll never work there again, and I will never buy a Ford. The most hated billionaires, George Soros. We're going to read how he broke the Europeans. And then the Odessa under attack. Russia's now attacking all the cities. He's not going after the people. He's going after the military installations, the storage where the bombs are, the communications, where the troops are. But he's not going after, like Jenna lives there. They're not going after just bombing shops and bombing, houses. They're going after military installations. So let's start with Soros, because I am going to relate him blowing up Britain to him blowing up the U.S., and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
This is the laziest way to eliminate the parasite that causes type 2. Just make this 15-second rest.
Let's imagine that you wake.
Okay, we don't have to. Let's go. All right, the day he broke Britain, he ran shorts against Britain because Britain was inflating. Again, they printed their money to zero, and he knew it. He went to the London School of Economics, which I have to see, are they Keynesian or Austrian? Maybe they're Austrian. I don't know. He knew enough that he could see the inflation, and he knew, just like now, the U.S. is massive inflation. They're gone. The dollar's gone and can't come back. That's what he did in Britain in I think the 60s. So let's take a look. This is about 3 minutes, and we will see what he did. And then you can parallel it to what's happening now and what he's about to do to the U.S.
September 16th, 1992 began with the Bank of England confident in its power. But by sunset, George Soros had humiliated the British Empire and pocketed $1 billion in what history would remember as Black Wednesday. The stage for this financial earthquake had been set months earlier, when Soros began studying the pound sterling's precarious position within the European exchange rate mechanism, a system that required Britain to maintain its currency above 2.7 German marks, regardless of economic reality. With inflation raging and the economy weakening, this promise defied mathematical logic, yet British politicians clung to it with the stubborn pride that had once built an empire and now threatened to bankrupt one. Soros recognized what the entire British establishment refused to admit. Their currency was a dead man walking, propped up by nothing more than political vanity and taxpayer money that would soon run out. While other investors hesitated, Soros began building a position so massive that colleagues questioned his sanity, accumulating a $10 billion bet against sterling through leveraged funds that would either crown him king or destroy him completely. The Bank of England detected the mounting pressure as waves of selling crashed against the pound, responding with the only tools central bankers know: arrogance, denial, and other people's money thrown desperately at the problem. Interest rates rocketed from 10% to 12%, then to an unprecedented 15% in panicked hours, as officials tried to make holding pounds attractive enough to stem the bleeding. Behind the facade of calm, the bank hemorrhaged billions buying its own currency in a doomed attempt to maintain the fiction that political promises could overcome market mathematics. Norman Lamont, Britain's Chancellor, appeared on television throughout the day, promising to defend sterling at any cost, apparently unaware that Soros and other speculators were more than happy to name that price. The Quantum Fund led the assault, but soon every major trading desk in the world smelled blood in the water, joining what became a feeding frenzy against the wounded pound. Soros kept selling with the methodical precision of a surgeon, knowing that every basis point the pound dropped meant another $100 million in profit for his fund. By early evening, with reserves exhausted and credibility shattered, the British government faced a choice between complete economic collapse and humiliating surrender to the markets. At 7:30 that evening, an ashen-faced Lamont emerged from number 11 Downing Street to announce what the markets already knew. Britain would withdraw from the European exchange rate mechanism and allow the pound to find its own level. Sterling immediately crashed through the floor it had desperately defended all day, vindicating Soros's conviction that artificial currency pegs were nothing more than invitations to speculators with enough capital and courage. The final tally stunned even financial professionals. Soros had earned approximately $1 billion in a single day, while the British Treasury lost £3.4 billion of taxpayer money in their futile defense. Newspapers around the world crowned him the man who broke the Bank of England, a title that captured both the audacity of his trade and the humiliation of a former superpower brought to its knees by a single speculator. The victory transcended mere profit, demonstrating that in the new world of global finance, a determined individual with sufficient resources could force even sovereign governments to capitulate. More importantly for Soros, the triumph validated his reflexivity theory in the most dramatic way possible. He had created the reality he traded by forcing others to recognize what he saw first. The quantum physics student had proven that markets weren't rational, efficient mechanisms, but playgrounds where perception could be weaponized by those with enough conviction and capital. Central banks, governments, even the mighty British Empire, all could be broken by someone who understood that confidence was just another currency that could be shorted. American prosecutors were about to learn they could be purchased even more cheaply than British pounds.
I finally ditched my Ring doorbell and switched to Safe Doorbell, and I honestly wish I had done this way sooner. Here's what
More cheap.
Okay, so he saw the inflation. We see the inflation. So you're seeing that we're looking at history to come up with our conclusions. We're not just pulling shit out of the air. I'm telling you what happened in Rome and England and France, and I'm saying this is what happens. This is what happens when you have massive inflation. And you can go short the dollar, but I don't know how to do that. But that's where we're headed. We're headed in the same direction. And who shows up at the 12th hour? Soros. And who does he put in charge? The Scott Simpson guy, Homer's brother. And he's collapsing everything with these tariffs. Trump doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So Scott Simpson is making sure that the dollar collapses. He's Soros's guy. Soros knows what's going on. He did it with Britain, and he's going to do it again. So if you have any doubts that the dollar's collapsing, there's your proof. He's doing it again. He sees the massive inflation. He's got his guy setting it up. The tariffs aren't working. Nobody wants to deal with the U.S. We are collapsed. We have collapsed. I don't know about the banks not giving out money. Again, keep a good 10, 20 grand at home. It's your only answer. Keep your gold and silver out of the bank. Don't put it in the safety deposit box, and keep cash in your bank or in your safe. All right. I have very little at the bank. Just when I get in for Social Security and unemployment goes to the bank, I pay bills with it. I'm not sure what's going to happen when the shit does hit the fan about our mortgages, car payments, and credit cards and all that shit. I'm not sure what we're going to do for food at the grocery store. How are we going to pay for it? Or do we just keep using our credit card to buy the food as opposed to cash? I don't know. Maybe that's where we're headed, where we just have money in the bank. So we sell our gold, we get 10 grand, we leave it in the bank. We take maybe 3 or 4 grand out. We don't really need the cash out that much. We more or less just use our debit and credit card. So we will see. But that's where we're really going with it. And off we go. So that's the parallel with it. Now this next chapter is how he bought all the politicians. You wonder why we're collapsing. All right. So everybody get it. we're inflating. The money is going to die. Soros will short it. He did it in England. He's going to do it now. That was 1991. This is how this has stayed. But you can see you can't inflate it. There's nothing you can do. You can't inflate it. That's why I get the fuck out of the stock market, the fuck out of the banks, because the banks are going to do what Egon said. And I've shown you in China, oh, you can only get a couple grand out. And they're doing it in Italy. And if they're doing it there, it's coming to a theater near you here. Don't be surprised. Well, I got 20 grand in there. Fuck that. Get your money the hell out. Actually, you want to buy more gold and silver and keep it nice and safe in a safe in some secure place, not called a safety deposit box at a bank or government entity or credit union. It's not safe there, right? So you have to put it somewhere. So put it in a safe place. But that's your only hope, because the dollar collapsed. Now, Britain, what did they do? They came out with the new British pound. And again, you can see British kind of controls it because it's worth more than the dollar, which makes no sense. British pound is not worth more than the dollar. It's collapsed. The dollar's, all of it's collapsed. The whole system's collapsed. The new system would be called BRICS gold-backed currency system, which is why we must own the gold and silver, because that's where it's coming. It's very obvious. They're all buying gold. Hello, McFly, anybody home? If they're buying gold and silver, you buy gold and silver. All right. The next section of the asshole called Soros.
Than British pounds. Larry Krasner needed $1.7 million to become Philadelphia's district attorney, and George Soros wrote the check without hesitation, purchasing control over justice in America's sixth largest city with the casual ease of buying a yacht. The money represented over 30% of all spending in the 7-candidate primary, working out to roughly $33 per vote in Krasner's victory, a bargain for reshaping an entire city's justice system. Followed in Philadelphia became Soros's most catastrophic experiment, as murders exploded from 315 to 562 by 2021, nearly doubling under Krasner's watch. Gun crime convictions collapsed from 64% to just 35%, while the percentage of cases Krasner simply dismissed skyrocketed to 61%, creating a paradise for violent criminals. The human cost crystallized in Hassan Elliott's case. Krasner released this repeat offender despite felony gun possession and cocaine dealing charges. And that same day, Elliott murdered a man before later executing Police Corporal James O'Connor. In Virginia, Soros spent over $2 million in 2019 installing 4 prosecutors, with Buta Biberaj receiving nearly $850,000 and Steve Descano getting $600,000. Descano's Fairfax County became a case study in prosecutorial sabotage, filing 49% fewer felony cases than his predecessor, while dismissals and drop charges surged 51%.
Neuropathy has no cure? Nerve pain is normal? Here are the 3 biggest myths keeping you from recovering.
Felony cases than his predecessor, while dismissals and drop charges surged 51%. Under Descano's leadership, all crime increased 15%, aggravated assault jumped 43%, and carjacking exploded 74%, transforming one of Virginia's safest counties into a criminal playground. Shoplifting surged 40% after Descano announced his office wouldn't prosecute thefts under $1,000, essentially legalizing stealing for anyone smart enough to keep receipts. Descano even downgraded abduction and burglary charges that could have imprisoned a defendant for 26 years. The freedman later allegedly killed 2 homeless men and wounded 3 others during a 9-day shooting spree. Meanwhile, in Loudoun County, Biberaj faced judicial sanctions when Judge James Plowman removed her entire office from multiple cases for deliberately misleading the court and the public. Her incompetence led to 2 murder suspects being released within weeks of each other due to basic procedural errors, with one case dismissed entirely while the other required a manhunt in Georgia. Chicago's Kim Foxx presided over 4,000 murders during her 6-year tenure, averaging 666 annually, 165 more per year than before she took office. The average felony approval rate under Fox dropped from 83 to 73%, while rejection rates nearly doubled, meaning thousands fewer prosecutions annually in America's third largest city. Baltimore's Marilyn Mosby achieved even worse results, with the murder rate climbing past 300 annually and hitting 348 in 2019, a rate of 59 per 100,000 residents. Only 53% of felony cases resulted in conviction under Mosby, compared to 67% before she took office, while she permanently stopped prosecuting drug possession, prostitution, and trespassing. St. Louis became a prosecution graveyard under Kim Gardner, with no prosecution rates more than doubling from 13% to nearly 36%, while total felony cases processed collapsed from 4,700 to just 861. After Gardner's forced resignation, her replacement filed 1,400 cases in 3 months, more than double the 620 Gardner had managed during the same period the previous year. Austin's Jose Garza rejected 142 felony cases in just 4 months, using his early case review policy, compared to only 17 rejections during the same period under his predecessor, a 735% increase. Boston's Rachel Rollins pledged to stop prosecuting 15 categories of offenses, but court observers found she continued prosecuting many cases on her do not charge list, revealing even Soros. Prosecutors couldn't fully abandon their duties. Alex Soros watched these failures and decided his father's problem was thinking too small. George Soros shocked his inner circle in June 2023 with an announcement that contradicted everything he'd previously said about succession. The 92-year-old billionaire was handing his $25 billion empire to his son, Alex. This same father had repeatedly declared he didn't want any of his children taking over the foundation, believing the mission too important to become a family dynasty, yet something had changed his mind dramatically. That something was Alex's chilling promise to be more political than his father, a pledge that sent shivers through those who already considered George Soros dangerously influential in American democracy. At 37, Alex Soros radiated an intensity that unsettled even hardened political operatives, displaying none of his father's preference for operating from the shadows, but instead craving spotlight and presidential selfies. His Instagram became a trophy case of political influence, featuring grins with Biden, Zelensky, and virtually every Democrat who mattered, while his White House visitor logs showed 20 appearances during the Biden administration, more than most cabinet members could claim. The promise to be more political wasn't empty rhetoric, but a threat Alex began executing immediately, with Democracy PAC's spending exploding to $40 million under his control, while his personal donations dwarfed his father's contributions. Where George had invested $4 million in prosecutor races during 2020 to reshape criminal justice, Alex slashed that to a mere $131,000 in 2024, revealing his complete abandonment of his father's signature cause. He redirected $60 million from the Fund for Policy Reform straight into Democracy PAC for pure electoral politics, transforming a criminal justice nonprofit into a partisan war chest. His $10 million contribution to Future Forward PACs, supporting Democratic presidential efforts, was 10 times what his father had given during the same period in 2020, signaling an unprecedented escalation. Chuck Schumer transformed from a political acquaintance into Alex's good friend through constant.
So we can see the question is why are they so good, so hung up on having these bad prosecutors? Why do they want it lawless here? Why do they want the criminals? What the hell is going on? Who wants that? It doesn't make sense. All right. Now we're going to get to the real story of the Russian war.
You probably ain't expecting me to find my cock. I'm gonna let you in on the secret.
Entire governments were about to discover why the Soros name had become synonymous with existential threat.
You probably ain't expecting me to find my cock. I'm gonna let you in on the secret.
Vladimir Putin signed the order personally in November 2015, declaring open society foundations an enemy of the Russian state, and warning that any citizen caught working with Soros faced 6 years in prison. The designation as an undesirable organization came with language that would have seemed hyperbolic if it weren't in an official government document. Soros represented a threat to the foundations of the constitutional system itself. Russia had fired the opening shot in what became a global governmental revolt against one billionaire family's influence, setting a precedent that would spread across continents as nations recognized a common threat. In Hungary, where Soros had spent millions promoting democracy after communism's fall, Viktor Orban transformed him into a national boogeyman through the most expensive propaganda campaign in the country's history. Billboards across Budapest displayed Soros's smiling face with ominous warnings about his plan, while the tagline, "Don't let Soros have the last laugh," screamed from every street corner and subway station. The government spent millions convincing Hungarians that this son of Budapest wanted to Muslimize Europe through forced migration, tapping into primal fears about cultural extinction that resonated across the continent. Parliament passed emergency legislation literally titled the Stop Soros Package, making it illegal for NGOs to assist migrants in ways that Soros-funded organizations had pioneered, essentially criminalizing humanitarian work. The pressure became so intense that open society foundations fled Budapest for Berlin in 2018, marking the extraordinary moment when an organization built to promote Hungarian democracy was effectively exiled from Hungary itself. Pakistan ordered all Soros operations shut down in December 2017 without...
Okay, but the point was the beginning. Putin kicked him out and didn't want anybody to help him. Now let's think third dimensionally. Who is keeping this war going? Since Soros runs the U.S., Soros is with the West. Soros is the one where he is the one running this war. He wants to get Russia back because Russia is after him and Hungary. So he's going after Russia. That's the point. So Soros is the one keeping this war going. It is not Trump. It is not. He's behind the British and the German and the Italian. He's got them on a string. So Soros is the puppet master here with his $25 billion, which won't be worth shit. So that's why, how are they going to get rid of dollars when Soros owns 25 billion of them? That's why the war is going on. And it won't stop because Soros has all this money and he doesn't care. But he's going after Russia in retaliation to Russia going after him. Food for thought. All right. That's the real important. I wanted to show you Egon with the money and Soros. I will show you. We'll do this tomorrow. We'll go through Ford. I want to watch the British Open the last hour. Well, I don't even know if I want to because I hate Scott Scheffler. Ford family was behind Hitler, which is really strange, and Odessa under attack. There's a little bit there. China just wiped out the U.S. Well, we see this again. They're not buying the grain. They're not buying the meat. They're not buying this and that. Canada's not buying our meat. I mean, we're seeing this over and over. But right now, I want to get to that. We've got our baseball. The Toronto game probably already started. We got the Toronto. We've got the White Sox over 9. Philly. San Diego under 8. Yanks under 10.5. Miami. Cincinnati. Minnesota. Arizona over 9. Milwaukee. Seattle under 7. Texas under 7. There's 3 or 4 streaks we're not betting because we're just trying to be smart. Like the bet's Texas tonight over Detroit, but the Scooble going will go under because Detroit's not hitting, and Texas is not going to hit Scooble, and we'll see from there. Anyway, so now you see this whole war is about Soros attacking Russia and Soros's kids out of his fucking mind. And look for Putin. I don't know why Putin hasn't killed Soros, how it's become Putin, you can't work with him, but he hasn't taken, I don't know how anybody hasn't taken out Soros. He's the villain. He's the Nazi. So it's really strange to figure out. Anyway, the dollar's gone. Keep your money in the safe. Keep your money in gold and silver as much as you can. And we'll figure out what to do. We'll see what happens when it happens. It won't be in the bank. So if the banks say you can't have your money, we're fine. We don't need it. However, if we go sell an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, we want the money. It depends if we want the money or we just want it in the bank where we can pay bills or go on a trip. You want to buy it? You want to buy a diamond? Okay, well, we will see. But anyway, that's where we're at. So keep that in mind. www.teaserking.com. We'll get more thorough into football tomorrow. We'll see how the baseball streaks are going. Now, if Seattle wins and Detroit wins and Texas wins, even against the Aces, and then we'll be right back on them if they keep going. And that'll teach us. Right now, we're learning how long can the streak last. When you start facing the Aces, do you get off the streak? And if it happens, then you go back on it, which is fine. Or you just keep playing the streak till it loses. Normally, I like to keep playing the streaks till they lose. It's easier in football. I can bet Mahomes. I can bet Burrow. I can bet Josh Allen. I can bet on Daniels, Penix. It's much easier, or in college. Anyway, that's what's going on. So fascinating. Again, watch your money in the bank. And Soros is behind the war and behind the collapse of the U.S. dollar, which is very, very close to happening. Open your eyes. Don't be fooled. Don't look at the stock market. Don't look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a trap, just like this stable coin. It's to get your information and monitor you and control you. So be careful with that. We don't want that. I mean, look at Bitcoin. Oh, it's 100,000. Go into Bitcoin where we can control you because it's the ledger and we know every transaction you did, versus gold where we can't control you. So the question's been asked, well, why is Bitcoin so high and gold down? Because they can't control you in gold and silver. They don't know you have it. In Bitcoin, they can. And in a stable coin, they can because it's on this ledger, which turns out to be the bad guy here. It's the villain because they know exactly what you're doing. All right. I'm going to leave you with that. And tomorrow we'll have a longer show or a couple shows. All right. Have a good day. Enjoy the golf. It's pathetic when it's one guy and he's not very good, but he's the only guy. I mean, it's crazy. All right. Have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com.